Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. Spotter said it was clear. It wasn't clear, and, you know, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, you know, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened, and then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I felt. I called him out. He didn't show. You know, and so, you know, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out about until it was too late. It's a shame. I love their riblets and boneless wings, but...
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your #1 unrefined motorsports podcast. It's Brian here with Rob and Ashley. We got some Knoxville to talk about. We got Watkins Glen, lots of Connor Zillisch nonsense. So, folks, how we doing this week?
I feel like I got kissed on the ding-dong by a fairy, Brian. Doing pretty good. How you doing, True Love?
I can't follow that one up.
For all of you non-sprint car fans out there, you have no fucking clue what that means.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a bit later.
Yeah, we'll reveal that and other secrets later on in the show.
Yeah, so racing happened, and we're going to talk about it. Starting off with Watkins Glen. Was it the ARCA race was Saturday? Was it Saturday or Friday? Friday, right?
Friday.
Yeah, because Friday, because they had all three series. Yeah,
Sure.
I definitely had it on, but I wasn't paying attention to it. I know, like, Brent Cruz led almost all of it, and then at the end he had some sort of issue with his car. I think I heard something with his battery or something. So that gave the victory to a child, another fucking child,
Actual child,
another 15-year-old. What was his name? I don't know.
Tristan McKee.
Yeah, Tristan McKee,
Yeah.
Cars Tour guy, general weapon and menace to society.
Yes, as Tommy Baldwin put it when speaking about this on Door Bumper Clears, like, yeah, I don't like that kid. I don't like the way he drives. So, he had nothing good to say about that, which I enjoyed.
I actually have an ARCA shout-out this week. I want to give a shout-out to Glenn Reen for coming in fourth.
Oh.
So good for him.
Don't know who that is, so good for him.
He's a Northeast guy. He's kind of an Andy Jankowiak, slight camp, like that sort of group of dudes. He's built his own car. He's on the Black Flag podcast this week, and he talks in depth about it. But anyway, he's a New England guy or a Northeast guy, and he managed to get fourth out of that whole deal. So congrats to Glenn Reen.
Yeah, then as a Northeast guy myself, I have to congratulate him too.
Yeah.
So.
Chris Wright finished second, so
He
I'll
sure
take
did.
the child winning over Chris Wright.
Yeah. Do you think George W. Bush would have put the ARCA series in the axis of evil if he was still president?
What?
Just the amount of terrorists that are involved. Chris Wright, Tristan McKee.
The Xfinity Series is giving them a run for their money this weekend.
Yeah, no shit.
Moving on to the truck series. I mean, this was a pretty stacked field. You had Zillisch in there. What other ringers were in the field?
We have Bell,
Bell,
Chastain, Kyle
Buscher.
Busch, Zillisch, Kligerman returned, and
Yeah,
Buscher.
it was a lot of big names, but I mean, Corey Heim still took the win. He led the majority of the race. Zillisch got involved in some sort of wreck. I mean, he was in the Nice truck and wasn't really a factor at all day. Kyle Busch was out early. I think Buscher and Bell were up there. Bell was definitely up there for a bit, but there's another Corey Heim win. So
yeah, future Spire Motorsports driver Corey Heim apparently,
which is weird, but also I guess I wasn't sure where he was going to go because, I mean, he's linked to 2311, but they don't have any room there, and they might even have charters next year. So, I mean, I thought he was a Toyota guy, so him to go to Spire is.
I mean, two things about this situation that I think are important to remember. One, Toyota sucks ass at hanging on their drivers.
Yeah, that's true.
And two, Spire is willing to write the biggest checks imaginable to get what they want. And if they can get Corey Heim over there instead of Justin Haley, who I am a fan of, but clearly that hasn't translated this year in performance-wise. I'd be looking at Corey Heim too, and I'd be putting a bunch of fucking cartoon zeros at the end of a check for that kid if I could.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It was looking for a minute that Bell was going to win in the Friesen truck, but that didn't happen. But still good for the team.
Yeah.
And, Caden Honeycutt will be in the truck next week. So
where did Caden end up in all that on whatever that was?
I think
he had some fuel pump issues or something.
Yeah, something happened with the truck, and he didn't finish very well. But he was still in the race, so you don't have to worry about playoff waivers or any of that bullshit. So
that's good.
And then the other truck note is Andres Perez. What the hell is his full name? Delara. He was let go from Spire to go over to Nice, which definitely is not nearly as controversial as the other, Caden move the week prior. And I don't really know a whole lot about this story, but it's kind of a nothing burger to me as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, the biggest part of this story is that now we will have to suffer through Corey LaJoie being in that truck for the final 8 races.
Yeah,
which
finally got that big ride he's been looking for.
I was gonna say, like, he was signed up for 9 races, but I don't think I've seen him in the truck since the one he ran. So, we'll get to deal with that the next few weeks.
I think maybe he was actually going to be running all these races to begin with, but they just shift the owner's points around to Corey. So, and that's not a bad decision to make, I don't think.
No, not when the owners. Obviously the drivers' championship is what everybody cares about, but the owners' championship is what actually pays the money. So it all kind of makes sense. Which is why it's good for Caden and good for Friesen, because it doesn't sound like he's going to take that playoff waiver because he could apply for it, but with Caden in that truck, that'll help regardless. So still be in the ownership.
So trucks is actually a little different. It's 50-50 between the drivers.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. But still, like that. Corey LaJoie is a better option than a lot of people they could have put in there, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so,
that's
whether we like it or not. It's we don't like it.
Yes, no one likes that. Moving on to Saturday. This is when things get interesting. This was definitely, up until the one wreck, the SVG and Connor show. SVG was doing everything he could to hold back Connor from the lead. They were battling for like 10 laps or something like that. And then coming into the final set of turns, Connor got on the outside. I don't know the turn name, so forgive me. But that last couple corners before the finish line, and he got on the outside of SVG and went probably 30, 40, 50 feet away from the apron, cutting way the hell out, and then tries to cut back in and just completely clears the fuck out of SVG. Like, it was just a very, thankfully he had plenty of room till he got to the wall, but he still hit the wall pretty fucking hard. Yeah. And this was one of those things that I know Ashley and I were both immediately pissed off at Jamie McMurray, because Jamie was just like, well, SVG should have given him room. And Denny on his podcast also said Denny said the same thing. Denny said the same thing, and everybody else, like Junior himself, was like, they should fucking put grass back on that section of the track, because
I agree with that. Yeah.
Listen, this is an F1. Nobody wants track limits, and there's other road courses where obviously they have spots where if they run into, it's a track violation, but that's pretty few and far between. But the problem is when you give these guys all this room to work with, they're gonna use it. And to me, again, only as a fan, not as a racer, but he was 30 feet off the track. Like, he should have been in the grass, and it was pavement there, so he was able to use that space. And SVG was in the lead. It was still his position. So why should he have to let him in? He's off the fucking track. And Connor, he was on door bumper clear, and he did kind of relent that, I probably should have, checked up and given him the run, but I was also expecting space. And it's like, motherfucker, that's just, to me, that's just not how racing should work. So that was disappointing. But I think it's another good example of, for a lot of the fans out there that only know Connor from his NASCAR runs the last couple of years, he's kind of a dirty driver, and I think a lot of
he's as bad as Carson Hocevar is.
Yeah,
same shit.
I think because he wins, and people kind of overlook that stuff, but he definitely pulls some moves that are sketchy, and we've all seen it a few times this year in Xfinity. So but yeah, like Rob said, because he wins, unlike Kosovar, it's kind of overlooked a little bit. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they're very similar drivers, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think the only difference is that Zillisch didn't have a habit of stopping on track and drawing yellows and doing some street stock shit. And I don't know. I've become a pretty big Carson Hocevar fan, especially since everyone started bitching about him. I enjoy him, but it is a bit of a double standard for fans in particular to like one of those and then not the other based on the performance. Because again, like, who cares if he wins a few Xfinity races? Like, he's a goddamn menace every time he goes out on the racetrack. And I like Connor too. I think he's got a great personality. I kind of see why people gravitate towards him. You know, Carson's got his thing going on, which I think is funny, and his personality is funny to me.
Yeah.
But you know, Connor's kind of the gold standard for being able to talk to people. He's funny, he's affable. You know, he had a good sense of humor about his misfortunes, which we're about to get into here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's same guy. You could switch helmets and be the same guy, except for like the 4-foot height advantage that Hocevar has on him.
Yeah, no, I think those are all pretty fair points.
You could, Brian. Do you have the All-Star Circuit of Champions race on in the background right now?
Yeah, the track was on fire. What the fuck was that?
I'm sorry. Like when we started talking about this, that's why I said "holy shit," because somebody just dropped a bunch of oil or fuel or something on the track, and it's just a river of flames across the track. And there's nothing they can do about it, so they're just letting it burn out, and everyone's sitting there under open red. So, anyway.
But that wasn't the only sketchball move of the race.
Speaking of catching the track on fire.
Yeah. The next one, the returning Austin Hill. He got into it with Michael McDowell. It was a similar situation to the Zillisch SVG deal. A little different, but still similar.
Not on purpose, for
sure.
Yeah,
they both went off course, and in the process of them both trying to get back on track, Austin Hill got into McDowell, and that caused a massive wreck. There were cars flipping over top of each other. The wall got taken down.
Pictures of Ryan Ellis's windshield.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was some
Holy
fucking
shit.
Final Destination shit, really.
Still not as bad as Michael McDowell's other wreck in that exact same spot, but pretty. Jesus.
Yeah.
That guy's taken some big hits in his career.
Yeah.
For sure.
16 cars in this one.
Yeah, it was, I think, the biggest wreck in an Xfinity race there of all time. And yeah, you know, again, you can't. This is definitely clearly not a thing that was done on purpose. You know, at least give him that credit. But it was a stupid move, and you know, after the stupid move he made 2 weeks prior, you would think maybe he'd race with his head and his shoulders a little bit, but nope, not so much.
He did just have a week off.
Yeah.
He did switch to black gloves this week. So one thing.
That's true. He definitely did that. Also, shout out to Austin J. Hill, who's just been taking an enormous mountain of abuse from the internet, and he's just on full on. That's not me. I didn't do that. I'm a different person. Duty on Twitter. It's amazing.
I would just change my name or something. I don't know.
AJ Hill.
Just AJ.
Yeah, AJ Hill. Yeah. But yeah, all that to be said, it was pretty obvious Connor was going to get the win after all that shit happened, and he did. But then proceeded to have the worst victory lane celebration of all time. Gets out of the car and immediately slips on the window net and falls, and it looks like he broke his neck. Like, the camera cut away just as he actually made impact with the ground. There are photos of the second he hit the ground that made it out there, and to me, it seemed like he was knocked out, and even in all the interviews he's done since then, he talks about, like, not remembering a few minutes. So, to me, the fact that he only broke his collarbone and wasn't concussed is a little bit weird. But he's got a few weeks out of the car anyways because they're not racing this weekend. He talked about, or SVG talked about, he also broke his collarbone years ago and was racing the next week, and he had surgery to put a plate in his collarbone, which helped. He said really the only issue was the belts tightening over it, and Connor got that same surgery today, so you would think...
Well, Dale Earnhardt raced with a broken collarbone, too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to keep him out of the car for Daytona. You know, if I were them, since he's already in the playoffs, he's already got the waiver and everything. Well, I guess he'd have to apply for another waiver. But I mean, if I were JRM, I'd keep him out of the car next week just because it's Daytona. There's obviously, you know, it's a wreck risk. So, you know, for safety's sake, I'd probably keep him out another week. But who knows? Maybe he'll be feeling great in 2 weeks and it won't really matter, and he'll get in the car. So,
yeah, it's definitely a very bad Carl Edwards impersonation in victory lane.
But this got him on.
It felt like it just went in slow motion too, because he put his foot up there and it slipped, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna put my foot up here again, and I put all my weight on it. I was like, before it even happened, I was like, you idiot, and then it just
they got roof hatches.
collapsed from there.
I'll give my buddy Mike credit here too. He gave Connor shit for holding onto his Red Bull instead of dropping it and grabbing the block that was on his car to stabilize himself. That could have helped too, but you know, I pointed out to Mike that Red Bull is one of his biggest sponsors, and this is kind of one of those things that the drivers have to do. You got to rep your sponsors out of the car. So
he's a company man through and through.
Yeah.
No survival skills, but
I did enjoy his DBC interview. I listened to that, and he was saying that the first thing he said was, God, these guys are going to think I'm a pussy getting carried off on a stretcher.
That's great. He just got him on like Good Morning America and all the national news and everything. So, you know, not necessarily the press you want, but still
it's the press you got.
Yeah, it's the press you got. But you know, after all was said and done, you know, the next day people started making jokes. His dad was like, well, still, I don't know if he said something about shit in his pants.
It was on Twitter. The tweet reads, silver lining, pooping himself is no longer his most embarrassing moment.
Yeah, so
thanks, Dad.
And yeah, like we said, Connor was on DBC and he's fine. So now we can all laugh about it, and he's not dead. But yeah, it was somber. It was a very somber post-race show. Like, it was just eerie the way they cut away, and like no interview or anything, and just it was very weird to watch. But glad he's okay. So.
Yeah, definitely glad we're laughing about it today.
Yeah, for sure.
They interviewed him the next day during the Cup race, and he still had his hospital bracelet on, and he kind of, in that interview, tried to blame it on his crew for throwing water on his car. I was like, no. Just wasn't it, bud.
He also had a really funny tweet showing his hospital bracelets, and they stuck a fall risk one on him, which I thought was very funny.
Well, listen, I've had that bracelet on more than once, so it's just one of those things they give you if you injure yourself a certain way. So.
It is still goddamn funny though.
Yeah.
Because he is.
But yeah, that brings us on to Sunday, and really there's not a whole lot to talk about Sunday because this was a fucking snoozer.
It was done in like 45 minutes.
It was just over 2 hours, which for a cup race is pretty fast.
Not know what to do with the rest of my day.
It was over. There was a whole ass IndyCar race on after that.
Yeah.
Well, before the race even started on Saturday during qualifying, Keselowski and Hocevar had some weird stuff happen on track. I think like somebody was on their hot lap and somebody got in somebody else's way, and then that basically led to Keselowski getting out of the car and sprinting as hard as he could over to Hocevar's crew to get in his face and have a little skirmish.
Little dad chat.
Yeah. There was
the
no
most shocking part was that Brad can run that fast.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, that was not what I expected to see out of that.
In the race, let's see, Kyle Larson had issues early, and he was not a factor all day.
Nope.
You know, the fact Blaney got the pole is very surprising, and I think he won stage one, but it was very clear after a while that SVG was just biding his time. He couldn't really pass him stage one, but you knew he was going to get there at some point.
Definitely a turn of fortune for Blaney. He hasn't been all that great at road courses this year, whether it's luck or just the car not being all that fast. But he was legitimately one of the fastest cars on the racetrack all day, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if it was top 5 or top 10, but I mean, he was up there all day, as was all the RFK cars, I believe.
Priest fell out of the top 10, unfortunately.
Yeah, he got 11th, but Buescher was up there.
Buescher won a stage.
Did he?
Stage 2.
Yeah.
No shit. Okay.
Busher won stage 1.
Or stage 1,
won
right.
stage 2.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
It happened so fast. I got to take a piss and go inside, and I came back out, and SVG had won. I didn't know what happened.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, stage 3, that's when it was just the whole SVG show. He was toying with Byron, running slow to give Byron room, like to think he could pass him so he could burn up all his shit. And he ended up with a 10-second lead and, easy victory for him.
I love when SVG plays his little mind games with
it's
drivers.
Absolutely wonderful. This was a big win for SVG because he was regretful over losing last year, but also he had his dad there with him for the first time, who, they'd lost his mom a couple years prior. His dad, I think his sister moved away, and his dad lost his sister, and just a rough time for his dad, so he was very happy to have his dad there, and I think that was the first thing they asked him when he got out of the car, was like, you lost your mom. Like, that's fucking weird first question.
That fucking sucks, dude.
SVG kind of looked at him sideways like, what? Is this what Americans want to talk about first thing in the interview?
Now he knows what Martin Truex felt like for all those years, and they're asking about Sherry and all those interviews.
Oh, God. But yeah, I mean, this was just a boring fucking race. Like, I had it on, but there was just like nothing going on. Very little passing, no chaos like the other couple races, and it just happened. So we watched it, and I'm glad SVG won. I like SVG. I'm not upset at him dominating road courses. I think it's cool, and I think it'll eventually drive everybody else to work harder to beat him. But it's going to be a while, I feel like. So
this won't happen forever, but. Yeah, I mean, the flip side is he's going to come in like 30th in Richmond this week. So for those of you who don't like it, it's over now. So at least until Charlotte. But my favorite moment of the race was Ty Gibbs revealing to the world that his team fucking hates him too. I really liked that. Boy, they were cunty to each other on the radio.
They were.
It wasn't like the James Small, Martin Truex kind of thing either. It was very like... I don't even know how to describe it. It was very personal. Yeah. Almost as if, the owner's grandson is the driver and he's a petulant little shithead and there's nothing you can do about it. Something like that.
How many more years do we think Ty Gibbs has?
Well, I mean,
until Grandpa passes.
Yeah. I mean, he turned it around for a little while. There was a streak of top 10s a few weeks ago. It kind of slipped under the radar because... of course it does.
We're on year 3 of him not winning. We all thought he was going to come in and blaze a trail to victory, but
yeah. Well, we still got Austin Dillon out there, so I think his seat's pretty safe for a little while. Another point in the broadcast I really enjoyed. They were talking about the meltdown, and then Riley Herbst came down pit road, and the entire broadcast just thought it was Ty Gibbs and kept talking about Riley Herbst as if he was Ty Gibbs. Like, boy, this crew is not getting along. And I was just like. Wait, what the fuck? Because they had the identical monster cars.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that set me for a loop. I thought it was the tequila I was drinking on my patio. But it was just NBC with Dale Jr. getting lost. But.
Yeah, well, one more road course for the year. True Love, are you going to be there again this year? You always go, right?
I've been to every one of them, so I'll be back.
Okay, you'll be there. So
the new turn they added last year, I thought made it better. So
yeah,
I enjoyed it last year.
Hopefully, you get to see another SVG win.
Well, he didn't win last year, but
different. It's a different year. He's very much on top of his game.
He'll only be good at half of the course. Once he gets onto the banking, it's gonna be
50-50. I love SVG, but my favorite part of this race was Bubba's McDonald's Land paint scheme and his Mayor McCheese fire suit. So
that was a pretty
fun Sunday.
He got another top 10 too, his 4th straight top 10. So yeah, he's heating up a little bit, which is good to see. And obviously, the road courses and SVG and the car and everything, that was a big topic the last couple days. And of course, Kyle Petty came in with another NASCAR shilling comment saying, well, this is a car we have and this is what we got. And basically, this led to Cole Pearn kind of calling him out. But Rob, you can say the quote. I don't want to say it. You can.
Hold on, let me pull it up. It's not in the notes here. It's gross, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's very gross, and it's got something to do with one of our favorite subjects in weird, creepy, gross sexual behavior.
This is the Atlanta thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So Colburn tweets. Michael Waltrip once told me the drivers saying they liked the old Atlanta was the same as him beating his meat on the couch. It felt good, but nobody wants to see it. Yeah.
And as someone who has been to old Atlanta and been in a weird dark room with Mikey Waltrip,
I don't want to see that either.
Nobody wants to see any of these things.
I miss old Atlanta, but I could do without the MWR tour with the lights flickering. That's something that I could probably go till death without experiencing.
Yeah. Well, luckily I didn't see any meat, but
That's good.
it's touch and go there.
Yeah. As it tends to be from what I gather.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting back to Mikey's brewery out by the Speedway during
I'm not.
Mikey's
Fuck
Dust.
What was we had some fries or something?
Yeah,
We had
with
some
Mikey's Dust on it.
Yeah,
It was like a sweet
pretty good.
Cajun thing. It was good.
that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. And Buffy was our server. You can find that episode about 60 episodes ago, I think, or something like that.
Other than that, there wasn't really a ton going on this week outside of what actually happened on the racetrack. Tony Stewart tested a Pro Stock car, which I can't say is incredibly surprising, but to me it almost seems like stepping backwards if you're already in a top fuel car, but, each their own. Kenny Wallace is going to be having a garage sale at his house, and he, in relaying this information to the public, tweeted out his wife's cell phone number.
Yep.
So if you have any questions,
Just give old Kim a call or a text, and she'll get you right to it.
Yeah. Let's see. The DHS doubled down on their IndyCar fucking jail cell AI art, and
The Guantanamo Grand Prix presented by Gamebridge.
IndyCar has still done nothing to fight against this.
That's not true. IndyCar did ask them to stop using it publicly. And
Yeah, I think they did delete the second tweet. Now that you mention that.
Yeah, IndyCar was not thrilled with this because why would you be?
But also, too, and I don't know if this plays into it at all. I mean, it's not incredibly closely related, but it is in the sense that it's a Penske thing. Penske was pissed off because Homeland Security, ICE, decided to use one of their trucks to, carry out a raid at a Home Depot or whatever. And, Roger's a Trump guy, but it's definitely sketchy to be pulling that type of shit. But we're in a real fascist regime right now. So
Roger's a company man, and he understands that anything that can paint a picture like that is going to take money out of his pocket and paint the company in a negative light. And again, for his personal political opinions aside, he does keep that out of most of the business anyway. So. Kudos to him for at least following the money, I guess. I actually hadn't heard about that. That's crazy. But speaking of continued Penske problems in IndyCar, of course, Alex Palou already wrapped up the championship by finishing in some position at Portland. I forget where he ended up. But Will Power won the race. That would be Penske's first win of the year in the IndyCar series, and it was by the guy that's probably not coming back next year because he's getting fired for David Malukas. So
he was definitely using past tense terms in his win interviews.
Oh, fuck yeah, he is. He gone. There's no question about that. Yeah, also, True Love, Townsend Bell was in the booth floating some ridiculous shit about how since Will is kind of proving himself in the second half of the season, that maybe they would consider moving Scotty Mack over to NASCAR. Because he could probably beat SVG, which is completely out of his ass. I don't think there's any smoke behind that, but I heard that and I was like, True Love would like that.
I did see Scotty Mack fired off a tweet this morning about Townsend Bell should go be a reporter on the sidelines at like an NFL game or college football or something. I was like, what is this beef? And I didn't understand.
That might have something to do with it.
So,
because he just started a giant ass rumor, and everyone on the broadcast was like, Will Buxton was like, huh. Okay, anyway. Yeah, congrats to Alex Palou. That's his 4th or 7th or 9th championship in a row. I can't remember. Absolutely waxing the IndyCar field, and there's still a few races left. Not many, but still, he wrapped that one up early. 2 to go. Yeah, there's Nashville and Milwaukee, which flooded over the weekend,
yeah,
I guess.
That's right.
So hopefully they got all the Roto-Rooter trucks out there sucking the water out of the middle of the Milwaukee Mile so 5,000 fans can show up and watch what's going to be one of the best races of the year, probably.
Yeah,
that's IndyCar, baby, right there.
That's it. I got nothing to add.
Well, for the Durf of the week, you're going to have to translate this for me.
Yeah.
Because you found it.
I meant to put this into the septic tank, so I guess we're officially stepping into the short track septic tank. We got a big one this week. Of course, Knoxville Nationals were over the weekend, North-South 100 at Florence, and a bunch of other shit going on. I'm not even going to scrape the surface of all the things that went down. But our Darf of the Week comes from the Worldwide Sprint Car Fans group. Always great content in there. I believe some Darvs of the Week have come out of this group before. This came out, I think it was Friday or something like that. This guy, Travis Brenneman, says, I'm going to do my best to read this because it's a mess. It's also a very classic Darf of the Week. I feel like we've been picking on media members, rightfully so, YouTubers, shit like that. This is just some straight up Darf gold. He goes on here after a few days in Knoxville and people giving interviews and, giving their opinions and shit. And he says, I've been hearing since Wednesday is a bunch of butthurt racers. And there's a string of emojis after it. And of course, everyone starts picking apart the grammar because it's unbelievably bad. But the reason why this post shines so much is this guy responds saying, translation, and this dude posts a picture of his middle finger from above, and the caption just says, translate this.
Which is great. That is beautiful. Like, absolutely beautiful.
Grossest picture of a middle finger I've ever seen. It's like pointing at the camera. It looks bulbous and phallic. And I hate it. I hate everything about this picture.
It's so good. But that just sets the tone for the weekend, or the week at Knoxville. Again, it delivered. Weather was kind of a threat the entire time. There was, I can't believe they got the actual Saturday A main in before like 9 o'clock. Like the sun was still up when they were rolling the cars out on track. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Let's start off on Wednesday night. Ryan Timms, Oklahoma City driver, young kid. He set the tone from the get-go. He won the Wednesday qualifier. The qualifying format at Knoxville is a little bit weird, and I think that's probably where our Darf of the Week, which, by the way, his sentence is to find another angle to take a picture of his fucking middle finger from. But, yeah, the format's a little weird. They split it into 2 nights. There's points, and your position in the mains and all the heats get set by the points, and there's an LCQ night essentially on Friday, Hard Knocks night. So it's definitely it's a fun format, but it doesn't always reward the best cars per se, or it makes it really difficult for some people who should probably be in the A main that have a hard time making it, especially at a big track like Knoxville that's so aero dependent. And fast. Some guys you'd expect to make the show have a real tough time making it in, and are victims of the format, but I digress. Ryan Timms absolutely put a whooping on Wednesday night, and I think everyone expected him to do well, but I don't think they expected what they saw on Saturday. Kyle Larson picked up the win on Thursday night. About time he won something for me. It's been a little bit. That's not true. He's been winning a lot in sprint cars, but always nice to see the Silva 57 be fast as fuck on 3-year-old tires or whatever it is they're doing. There was a big wreck with Brian Brown and J.J. Hickle. Brown kind of faded up. I'm sorry, J.J. Hickle was kind of running a defensive line, and Brown just sort of drove over his right rear and flipped, broke both of his wrists. Very nasty wreck. He's going to be out for a little bit, obviously. You can't really drive a sprint car with nubs for hands. Well, unless you're Mel Kenyon. Mel Kenyon actually made a glove that he could drive with after he got a hand burned off. So, but Brian Brown still has his, and they'll heal. So I'm sure he's just going to have a few weeks off here. J.J. Hickle went out and gave the most insensitive interview on earth. It wasn't his fault. He's basically like, yeah, like I raced him like he races me, and I don't think he knew he got hurt either. He might have changed his tone a little bit. But JJ just kind of laid it out there like, yeah, I kind of don't give a shit. You know, it happens. It's happened to me. This is sprint car racing. What do you expect? And boy, people did not like that. He got the shit booed out of him, and the internet hated it. But hey, that's what happens. Let's see here. Friday night, of course, Hard Knocks night. That's the final qualifier. Wednesday, Thursday being the two split field days, and Hard Knocks is anyone who didn't lock into the A main on the qualifying nights. Great show through and through, watching people try and rip through there. Sammy Swindell put on a show. By the way, he had the quote of the weekend as far as I'm concerned. He made a big move on David Gravel at one point. And in his interview afterwards, he said, hell, if we switch cars, I'd kick his ass. Which I tend to believe could be true, because Sammy's still got it at age 72 or something like that. Dude's a badass. Donny Schatz also put on a big show in what ended up being his last run in the Tony Stewart, number 14. He raced his way in the LCQ, and I don't even remember what the question they asked him was, but now you're going to learn why I said what I said at the beginning of the episode. That's not from my brain. That's Donny Schatz. Basically asking him how he did what he did and how it feels, and he's like, we got kissed on the ding-dong by a fairy.
I just was absolutely stunned when I heard that.
I think most people
gobsmacked.
But that does extend Donny Schatz's streak of making the A main at the Knoxville Nationals to like, oh God, it's double digits. I think it's like 18 or 20 or something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but the fact that he was able to do that and make it through the soup or whatever you want to call it was pretty incredible. Only to unceremoniously get released today, but we'll get into that in a second here. Apparently Knoxville doesn't have the rights to some very popular stock music. They played a version of the Final Countdown that sounded like Joe Bluth was about to come out and do some tricks for us. It might have even been the version from Arrested Development, now that I think about it. And what was the other song they played? Because Brian, you brought this one up. It was
I can't even remember, but it sounded like something out of a video game.
Yeah, you're like, what version of this song is this?
It was just very bad.
But they do have the correct version of that Disturbed jam that they played. And that got everyone fucking fired up.
It was getting me amped. And then they just
cut it right off.
hard stopped it right in the middle. I was disappointed.
Yeah, I got to stop in and get Johnny Gibson. Hell, maybe Johnny Knoxville too. I gotta get Johnny Gibson some new CDs, because the mix of like commercial music and then non-cleared music and then just Disturbed and Crossfade just really doesn't do it for me. But yeah, the Saturday feature was badass. Ryan Timms started from the pole and pretty much led every single lap. There was no question who was in control of that race. There were several restarts, several cautions, of course a halfway break, and every single time Ryan was able to just gun it right there on the bottom, place his car right on the berm, and he drove away. Many tried. Probably the most impressive run of the night came from David Gravel, who came from 23rd to 3rd, which, again, I don't like David Gravel, but I got to give this guy his flowers. That was absolutely incredible to watch. Kyle Larson had a rough night, as I alluded to earlier. Had a tire go down, or explode, rather. I guess, last year watching Paul Silva lick a tire, which they made sure they got a shot of that before the race, of Paul Silva licking his finger and rubbing a tire, and it's like, oh boy, here we go again. And not fucker blew up. It's probably the same right rear as last year, if we all know Paul Silva. He's a cheap motherfucker. But yeah, Ryan Timms, 18 years old, first time at the Knoxville Nationals, and just went out there and absolutely kicked everyone's ass. No one had anything for him. Carson Macedo had a couple of shots. Again, he ran in second for most of the race, and it was an absolute hornet's nest behind him. But yeah, there's Enrico Aber was in the mix as well. But yeah, I just so badass to see a young kid like that win something so big, and you could tell how much it meant to him. Like, it was kind of an awkward interview. Didn't really know what to say, you know.
Yeah, but he's also a child. Again, another fucking child winning.
Yeah, and he just beat a group of fucking men like none other. So, and again, Ryan, I've talked shit about a lot of young drivers on this show in the septic tank. Ryan Timms isn't one of them. He seems to be a little more calm, cool, and collected than some of his contemporaries. And he's been focusing pretty hard on Knoxville. They came there to win that program. They've been focusing on the weekly shows there, and it shows because he went out there and absolutely waxed them. Went home with $198,000 for his troubles. And
I saw that he is the first Knoxville weekly driver to win the Nationals since Doug Wolfgang in 1977.
Yeah,
so.
Damn.
And certainly the biggest upset we've seen since Jason Johnson won it over Donny Schatz. What was it, 2015, I think, 2016? But yeah, just it's incredible. It was an incredible ass whooping. And again, I don't think anyone saw it coming. I assume everyone thought that Carson Macedo or David Gravel or somebody would be able to get around him, but there was one point. People talk about how he ran a flawless race. That's not true. Coming up to the halfway break, he did slam full on into somebody up on the cushion, and it looked like he might have a problem, might have broken an axle or something, a Jacob's ladder, some shit. Like, he came in, and even Johnny Gibson was like, I think he might be taking it to the trailer right now. Turns out he wasn't, and obviously he didn't because he won, but only one slip up, but it wasn't that bad. And even with that, managed to pick up the win. Favorite tweet about this came from Chris Wilk. He says, imagine having $194,000 and not being able to go party at Dingus. Which is, of course, the famous bar across the street. And I made sure I drank a few beers for Ryan Timms at home after watching that. But yeah, Knoxville was great. Shout out to Alex Hammett and Jordy. They were out there watching the big show. So was Kyle Armstrong. From all reports I've heard from Kyle, he says it's everything you would imagine it to be, and you got to come see it for yourself. And that's what I heard from Alex and anybody else I've ever known that's gone to Knoxville for the Nationals specifically. And of course Brian was there last week and he gave it a good review, so I got to get out there at some point. Problem is, it always falls on my wife's birthday weekend, which, by the way, happy birthday, Caddy. I love you very much. But
you gotta take her with you.
Gotta take her to the Nationals. She's gonna hate that shit. But yeah.
Yeah, I would say she could go do something else in town, but there's nothing else.
She's gonna go to Dingus. There's a Casey's, Dingus, the Sprint Car Hall of Fame, and the track, and that's about it. But yeah, great show. I think I mentioned this last week, but Dirt Vision did this thing with their Dirt Zone functionality, which is a thing where they'll have like 4 different races or multiple races on one screen that you can select. They went one step further this year and had an option where you could select different cameras on your own at home to watch the race on. So I had 2 TVs up for a couple of the nights, and honestly it was a little distracting. Like, it's kind of tough to watch, especially when they had like the 4-screen option. It's a little tough to focus on what's going on with the battle cams and the drone and all that. And the drone would run out of batteries and they'd have to go park it somewhere, and it would just say the drone is charging on the screen or some shit like that. But definitely a cool idea. I enjoyed that. I feel like there's a lot more they can do with that. And, kudos to Dirt Vision for actually trying something different with this.
One thing that I caught that I thought was funny, that right after Tim's won, he's got to go park it on the scales real quick. And he parked it on the scales, and the scale guy starts yelling at the 4-wheeler guy to get off the scales.
Yeah. And
the 4-wheeler guy's screaming, I'm trying. And then the scale guy screams, fuck you. So, that's great.
After all that, I was like, watch this fucking kid get thrown out on the scales. It's going to happen. But if Heilemann is going to let Cole Macedo win with half of a race car on the scales, then they got to let Ryan through for this one. But yeah, again, congratulations to Ryan. You're going to see a lot more of that kid in the future. There's no question about it. And I'll probably order a T-shirt whenever they come, and that'll help pay for. I did
see everyone in his victory lane photos had on some great shirts. So
yeah,
go check out their shop.
Well, that wasn't the only dirt racing that happened this weekend. As you all know, I'm more of a late model guy. I watch that a lot more than, or as much as sprint cars, and I certainly pay more attention to it. But, you know, I'm kind of a big event whore, so if the Knoxville Nationals are on, I'm going to pay more attention to that. Even though there was a big one this weekend, the North-South is one of the premier dirt late model events. We were treated to a monster battle between Jonathan Davenport and Bobby Pierce, getting quite physical about halfway through the feature.
Spicy.
It was very, very good. None of those guys were happy about it, particularly JD, probably because he lost. But Bobby Pierce picked up a big win there. RTJ got second, Jonathan Davenport in third, Devin Moran and Zach Dome rounding out your top five there. Josh Rice, I think, was pretty fast at one point, but ended up in 21st. I can't remember why. Again, I was watching Knoxville. But that's the problem with these sprint car races. They overlap sometimes,
Yeah.
which sucks. Which is why I usually watch dirt late models instead. But yeah, big weekend for Bobby Pierce. Also a big weekend for Kyle Strickler, the high side tickler. On Friday night at Florence, apparently out late drinking. You know, I've seen this before. I've hung with Kyle Strickler before. He wouldn't know me if he picked me out of a lineup, but you know, we've shared some liquor, and I've seen how it goes. And apparently, a party got a little out of hand, and the police showed up, and I'm not exactly sure how it went down, but apparently he asked the police officer if he wanted him to sign his shirt, which probably ended with him in a pair of handcuffs and going to the drunk tank for the night. So shout out Kyle Strickler. Hopefully there's no tickling going on in the drunk tank. And kudos to him. He was on track the following night.
I have never gotten bailed out of jail that quick.
No. I don't think he made the feature, but he was out there. But yeah, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that whole weekend. Apparently it was a great show through and through, but yeah, particularly that battle between JD and Bobby was unreal. Those guys don't throw haymakers quite like that very often. Bobby's a lot more cool, calm, and collected than he used to be, and Jonathan Davenport doesn't necessarily like to tear his equipment up. But man, these guys were beating the shit out of each other, and it was awesome. Speaking of guys who don't have that temperament, Corey Hedgecock, of course, perennial Hunt the Front star and owner of BMF Chassis. I think that means bad motherfucker. I was drinking with a guy at Eldora that referred to him as B-main fucker, which I thought was very funny. Anyway, he just bought himself a Longhorn, so I don't know what that says to his customers, but he just picked up a brand new Longhorn chassis, and a lot of people are scratching their heads, but hey, they're the best in the game, so I guess it is what it is if you want to win races.
Can't be good for business.
It can't be good for business. Maybe he's going to try and reverse engineer it like the Carpenters do with their shit, but who knows. We already talked about Donny Schatz losing his ride, but we didn't really get too much into it. Earlier this morning, it was, or this afternoon rather, it was announced that Donny Schatz was no longer going to be driving for Tony Stewart Racing in the 14, effective immediately. And this came, let's see here, about 6 hours after Donny had posted something about this weekend's race, saying, order tickets for next Tuesday's World of Outlaws event at Thunder Mountain and save $5 per ticket. And then, and my favorite sprint car shit poster, Johnny Wingo, posts, you going? But yeah, Kerry Madsen will be taking over the seat, which is a choice. And for those of you who don't really follow sprint car racing all that much, or even if you have a passing knowledge of it, Donny Schatz is probably one of the names you might have heard. I mean, he's behind Steve Kinzer, arguably the greatest of all time in the world of Outlaws. He's won like fucking 12 championships, 15, 20, I don't know how many, double digits. I think it was 9 Knoxville Nationals. I don't know, or maybe even more than that. Again, there's so many of them, I can't even remember how many there are. I could have pulled this up in front of me and not sound like an idiot, but it doesn't matter. He's won pretty much everything there is to win. He's one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest. And he's been with Tony Stewart for, almost 2 decades. And they've been suffering this year. They've had a hard time. I mean, if you've been following it all, Tony Stewart dropped the Ford engine program that they had and switched over to a couple other different platforms because the Ford was just not fast this year. And now they've chosen to axe the driver, which, again, Donny's not a spring chicken. He doesn't run quite as well as he used to. There's no question about that. And they've certainly been struggling this year. But a mid-season firing like this just makes me scratch my head a little bit. Obviously, there's got to be something else going on in this situation that would cause this to happen, because I don't really understand why you would get rid of him. And all due respect to Kerry Madsen, who is also a dog in his own right, we're going from one old guy to another old guy that's not as good as the other old guy. So we have an opportunity where there's a lot of musical chairs happening in sprint car racing right now, and it's a chance for Tony Stewart to pick up a younger driver. Now, Kerry has driven the 14 in the past. That's not unprecedented for this to happen. He's been with the team before, and maybe he's just who was available on short notice. But, yeah, he's going to be in the car for the foreseeable future, and I'm definitely scratching my head at this one. No word on where Donny Schatz is going, if anywhere. And with so many young, talented drivers who don't seem to give a fuck about loyalty, and they'll go wherever they can, I'm a little surprised that we're not seeing somebody a little bit more up and coming hopping into that car right now, especially with all the, like I said, the musical chairs that's going on. I don't really know what to make of this. I really don't. Could it be just that Tony Stewart's not all that great at running several race teams at once?
That has to factor in somewhere. Has to.
Yeah, I mean, we all saw what happened with the NASCAR team when he was hands-off, and I don't know how hands-on he is with the sprint car team, but I think he's pretty well devoted to the Top Fuel program right now and his family. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But, Kerry will probably do about the same as Donny or worse in this thing. So, he's got an experienced hand in the car, but I don't think this is going to turn the team around by any stretch of the imagination. And now you've got one of the greatest of all time without a ride. So, I guess we'll see how that turns out. Speaking of guys losing their rides, also the 14 car Spencer Basin is out of Jason Myers Racing. I bring this up for a couple of reasons. One, it's crazy how many guys are losing their jobs mid-season. I guess the 14 has been struggling, so it is what it is. But number 2, which is what I think is the bigger piece here, is that they had just picked up sponsorship from Hulk Hogan's Real American Beer. And right after Knoxville, that was over. So, and I guys don't know if you guys know this, but Hulk Hogan is fucking dead now. So I kind of wonder.
Listen, I'm going to say this.
That chick's gonna bounce, brother.
What was supposed to be, well, it is the first ever live event for Hulk Hogan's new amateur wrestling league. He's supposed to, him and Eric Bischoff are trying to promote amateur, collegiate Olympic style wrestling at a pro wrestling level, and it's happening here in Cleveland. And let's just say, ticket sales are I think they're in the triple digits at this point. And I plan on driving down there just to see what the crowd is like. I don't plan on going to the show, but all this to say, I don't think you're going to see Real American Beer sponsoring anything next year. I'd be highly, highly shocked.
If I'm World of Outlaws, I am sweating through my jeans and t-shirt right now, hoping that the next check clears. It might be the Case Construction late models by the time this year is over at this rate, but
Stenhouse ran that scheme this past weekend, and apparently it had Hulk graphics on it, and he's going to run a RIP decal the rest of the year, but they never showed it on the broadcast. So.
Yeah, well,
I don't think it actually had, because I saw it. It didn't have Hulk on the car. It just kind of. They had the Hulkamania type font, sort of, but Hulk himself wasn't on the car anywhere.
I think they put a small one on there.
Maybe
a baby Hulk.
A baby Hulk.
But not good news for anybody who's collecting checks from from any of his companies right now. So, and it sucks that Spencer Baston was the odd man out. Again, I'm not a big Spencer Baston fan, but he is a wheelman. He can get it done. I've watched him win at the Chili Bowl on prelim nights, and he's a good driver. And again, one of those guys that you would imagine that somebody like Tony Stewart would be looking to pick up and have some young blood in the car. But who knows how the rest of the year will go? I guess we'll see. And just to continue off the bizarreness of what we saw this weekend, with Connor Zillisch fucking falling off of his race car and all these terrible wrecks. It was a weekend of just weird shit happening and really dumb shit happening. And we'll start with the good stuff. I think this was in Canada. Did you guys see the video of that guy? He was a tow truck driver who just drove out in the middle of the racetrack in the middle of a feature. Yeah. That's it. There's nothing else to say about it. A guy just found the opening in the wall and drove directly onto the racetrack trying to beat the feature going by under green, mind you.
Directly in front of the leaders.
Yeah. And a Twitter account called Short Track Pictures posted some further updates on this. This comes from Rowdy Ridley Motorsports. Update. Number 99 Austin is okay, but he's still in a little bit of pain. Of course, that's the kid who got fucking slammed by the tow truck driving into the feature head on. Spent the night in the ER. The driver of the tow truck also had a kid in his truck and is at large after fleeing the track.
Now he's wanted for child endangerment.
Yeah. Holy shit. And
that escalated.
And if you thought that was dumb, there was a flagman. I don't even know what racetrack this was at, but he chose to start the race by running in front of the field, waving the green flag like it was a sprint car video from the 1920s. And he had no place to go. He just ran across the front of the race. And I saw some comments about this. Apparently this is how a legendary flagman at this place, he used to do it back in the day, and it was in tribute to him or something.
I'm sure he did it better than this guy.
But that doesn't make it smart. Apparently the guy had passed away, and I was like, I wonder how. But that's insensitive. I'm sorry. Rest in peace. Apparently he did not die from doing this like this guy almost did. But man, we're going to post this video, and you'll see what we're talking about. You've probably already seen it if you're plugged into racing, because that got more coverage than almost any of the NASCAR stuff this weekend. And now a sad note. We did have a fatality this weekend at Bowman Gray, and it's not what it sounds like, honestly. ROBBIE BREWER is a longtime sportsman racer and a 602 modified driver down south. Quite an accomplished one at that. Suffered a medical event. I've heard it was a heart attack while he was in the car and just hung the throttle, or didn't release because he had a heart attack, and just drove straight into the fence and lost his life. So I know people are kind of ready to throw out the pitchforks and talk about Bowman Gray here, but that doesn't seem like it had anything to do with that, and this was just a guy having a real bad run of luck. And it's easy to romanticize about somebody passing on to the next phase or whatever while doing something they love, but I don't know, I kind of hate doing that. It's very sad. Apparently he was one of the nicest guys around, and again, a very accomplished racer. He's won a shit ton of races at Bowman Gray, a bunch of modified championships down south, and apparently just kind of guy who'd just give you the shirt off his back and help you out with whatever you needed. So very, very sad news coming out of Bowman Gray. And I was watching Bowman Gray after everything wrapped up on Saturday, and everyone knew, but the broadcast they couldn't say, I guess, what was going on. I haven't talked to Dillner about it because I wasn't sure how to broach the subject, But they were beating around the bush a little bit, and, drivers were giving interviews, and, they're all crying and very broken up about it because they lost a family member, essentially. And you could just tell that something wasn't right. And they didn't announce it on the broadcast, and understandably so, I guess. But the night did wrap up with I think he was 86 years old. I forget his name, but he won the vintage race and got out of the car. It was kind of a poetic way for the evening to end after a night of tragedy, just watching this old timer out there still giving it. I like that. And the broadcast, they talked a lot about family and the family connections of Bowman Gray, and they were kind of painting the picture a little bit. But I can't imagine what it's like to be on the mic and have to skirt around or deal with something like that head on, and still have to move on with the show. So that's not a position I'd ever want to be in, and that's why Matt and Bob are pros. So I guess, but yeah, very sad. Thoughts and prayers to the whole Brewer family and everyone at Bowman Gray, because that's a tough deal. There was a modified race too at Thompson. Forgot that I was gonna go, but then I passed out of my couch, and it sucks because I wanted to see Patrick Kimmerlin pick up a win again, because I feel like he's been robbed a little bit in the past few weeks, and he did get up to the front at Thompson. No one's better at Thompson than Patrick Kimmerlin right now, and that was on display. Also, a shout out to Luke Baldwin, almost getting fucking ripped in half. Very nasty wreck, but he walked away from that one. They kind of got into it on Door Bumper Clear this week, but this is the very same race where John Blewett passed away 15 years ago, 20 years ago. This race always invites big wrecks for whatever reason. It's no different from any other Thompson race, but just something about this particular event invites those big kind of wrecks. And it's very good to see Luke Baldwin get out of the car after that one, because that was fucking nasty. But again, shout out to Patrick Kimmerling. Like to see that. Everyone likes to see that shit. Lots of racing coming up this weekend. Speaking of the modified tour, they'll be at Richmond on Thursday, warming it up for the Cup Series. I wish I could go, because it would be me and 10 other people in the stands, because it's just all of New England in the pits. That's all it is. And they fuck off back to New England after that. But that should be a good show. The Topless 100s. What's that?
Is Priest going to run that?
I would imagine he is. Of course, that's the race that Corey LaJoy won a couple years ago, and really angered me when that happened. But I haven't seen the entry list. Hopefully he's not. Hold on, we're going to check. We're going to rage bait live here, folks.
Are trucks running this weekend?
That's a great question.
Think so.
I don't think they are.
No, they are, and Xfinity's off, I think.
That's what it is, because Connor Zillisch has the weekend off.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is, entry list, and Corey LaJoy's stupid mug is front and center. God damn it.
Good thing you're not going then.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, Ryan Priest is running in his own car, the number 40. Carson Lofton also driving the family car. That's cool. And Ryan Newman will also be in that race for all you Sunday fans out there. But yeah, Topless 100's out at Batesville this weekend. If you want to stay up till 2 a.m. and watch a late model race, you can do that on Flow Racing. That's going to be fun. It's a race I've always wanted to go to, but I can just never get the timing right to go out to Arkansas when that happens. But one of these days. World of Outlaw late models, yet to be determined whether or not they'll keep the Hulk Hogan sponsorship or not, are going to be a Highland, Spoon River, and Maquoketa. The World of Outlaw sprints are going to be a O'Gill. I don't even know how to fucking say that. O'Gill. Forgive me, sprint car fans. I'm not even going to try. And Jackson, I can say that one.
There you go.
High Limits at Tulare and Placerville. We got the Bettenhausen 100 at the Illinois Fairgrounds. That's a badass race. The Silver Crown cars. And then at Riverhead, the Baldwin Evans Jerzambek 77 will be happening. Big memorial race at Riverhead. I think there should be a pretty decent car count at that one. And that's also going to be on Flow Racing. And also the Baldwins are going to be receiving their flowers by way of a Lifetime Achievement Award of some sort at Riverhead and get their name up on the wall there, which is pretty cool. And that is the short track septic tank for the weekend, an extended version. I feel like I owed y'all one since I was gone for a week, and last week's was like 30 seconds long. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If anybody knows how to drive a sprint car, Tony Stewart's probably looking for a driver, so send him your resumes, folks. And we'll go ahead and flush this down, and we'll get into our video of the week, which I guess is still technically in the septic tank because we're staying in Richmond. Just a quick flush. Whoosh. And Brian quit.
Did he quit?
He quit.
I thought it was a little extra quiet.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, fuck this. I guess I could start the intro for this. So last week, of course, Brian asked us which Richmond race we wanted to watch out of a selection of a couple, and we chose the Spingate year. Of course, we all know what Spingate is and how it ruined NASCAR for a lot of people.
All right, so I'm back. My laptop totally died. I'm gonna have to just get a new laptop now because the charger it's done. It's done, folks. The laptop's
You definitely
officially
sound like
done.
you're calling in from jail.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I had to switch over.
Yeah,
to,
Kyle Strickler stopped by Brian's house and they got into some trouble together in the last 30 seconds. Now here we are. The justice system moves very swiftly in Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was just letting the people know about what we were about to watch, which is of course the big playoff race from 2013, the cutoff race from Richmond. 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
13.
Yeah, so I was at this race, and like I'm trying to think back as to why I was even there. I believe like my parents had some friend of theirs from work or something won passes and had like they had like pit passes and everything. So like I was like, all right, I'll fucking go down there and meet you.
Nice.
And what are you laughing at, John? Is it?
Your audio.
I'm sure it's bad. It has to be bad.
It's like alien noises, and it speeds up, and then it slows down, and then it speeds up, and then it slows down.
Yeah. This segment was Brian pre-recorded this segment on cassette and left it on his dashboard.
Something like that.
Okay, sorry.
So anyways, where was I? Yeah, so I was at this race, and I was still kind of like, oh, fuck off. Well, this is what we're going to have to deal with. So
Maybe you could disconnect and try to reconnect. Maybe it'll fix it.
All right, hold on.
There's no way. There's no way I'm going to make it through the
20 minutes of that. Again, shout out to Buddy for filling in a couple weeks ago and putting up with that.
All right, is that better?
So far.
So far.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
Yeah, so I was at this race, and I was still kind of like, you know, I'd been going to Daytona for a few years, but I definitely wasn't as like in tune with NASCAR as I am now.
Yeah.
So like I was kind of I picked this specific. I mean, there's a couple different uploads of this broadcast, but I picked this one specifically because I wanted to include some.
Okay.
Includes something.
That's, I'm sure he's still talking.
He might be, yeah. Well, as always, we're not editing this out, so it's just going to stay in there. But yeah.
Well, I can give a little backstory about where I was in life when this race happened. Oh, he's back.
There we go. This is gonna fucking suck. So sorry.
Are you on the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I'm on the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Where was I?
You were about to give some details about why you chose this video, and you were about to explain why.
So I picked this broadcast because I wanted to include some of the pre-race stuff, just to kind of catch everybody up to speed as to what was going on with the chase and everything. But I'm glad I picked it because the intro was this weird, like, goth tarot card reading thing that laid out all the players and was just very bizarre. Like, I don't know who thought this was going to work with the NASCAR crowd, but it was just the weirdest fucking way.
Probably the same guy who thought the Joseph Newgarden Milk Gimp was going to work. It's around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, because I have to record from my phone, I can't access my notes, so I'll have to kind of go off my head here. But it kind of laid out, who to look for and who the battle was gonna be to make it the playoffs. So obviously Gordon was right on the bubble. Kurt Busch was right on the bubble. This was the format where it was 10 drivers locked in. It wasn't win and you're in, but they had two wild card spots for the guys that won the most races who didn't make the top 10. So Gordon was right there. I think
I think he was about to talk about how dreamy Casey Kane looked in 2013. Boy, did he!
I have to keep my phone open the whole time because as soon as Yeah. Oh God, I'm all discombobulated now because I switched phones.
That's all right. We've all watched this race, so we can talk about it without the notes. Yeah. So when you first dropped off, True Love was about to tell, and actually you were kind of getting into this too. True Love was about to give us some details about where she was when she watched this race as well, and sort of what her headspace was as a NASCAR fan. I'm actually curious to hear what that was.
Yeah.
Okay, so this race was 2013. So from 2008 to 2013, I became more like just a casual fan because this is when I lived in Atlanta. So this was like prime 20s. All I cared about was going to bars and drinking and partying, and I definitely wasn't paying for cable. So I would just watch races when I could.
Yeah.
But so this race happened on September 7th. And then on September 8th of this year, I hit the absolute rock bottom of my life.
Ooh.
And so September 9th, I had to move home to like back in with my parents to like detox and get my life together. So that following weekend, Chicagoland was my first race, like watching back. And I was like, okay, I need a new hobby to get into while I'm, sobering up. So I was like, I'll just, dive headfirst back into NASCAR. So the rebirth of my diehard NASCAR fandom was born with Spingate. So right in the depths of the drama.
What's incredible is that's a very similar story to mine. I had been a casual fan for many years. Again, I was really big into this when I was a kid, and all the way into the sort of mid-aughts or whatever. By the time the Car of Tomorrow came around, I was too busy touring. Again, I'm not paying for cable. I'm too busy getting drunk and playing drums and doing other shit to spend my time watching racing every Sunday as appointment viewing. So I kept I kept an eye on it, but it wasn't something it wasn't like now where it's appointment viewing every Sunday or, I'm not an obsessive diehard. And this race, in fact, was one of the first ones that I sat down and was like, I'm going to start watching NASCAR again because IndyCar was the first thing that got me back, watching the 500 earlier that year. When Takuma Sato spun and gave Dario Franchitti the win, and I was like, well, this is the best shit ever. And, after IndyCar with its short schedule and all that, I was like, well, what else can I watch? I have cable now. So, let's check on NASCAR and see what's going on. And I remember this being a really odd period because Tony Stewart was out, Mark Martin was back in the car. Yeah. Dave Blaney was out there in Tommy Baldwin's car. I forget, like Danica Patrick was all the rage at this point. I forget who else. Ken Schrader was still out there racing. And in fact, the first Cup race I ever went to was shortly after this at Loudon. So again, this... to sort of back True Love up, this was also sort of my entry point back into it, and the first time where I was able to say, truly, what the fuck, while I was watching NASCAR, and be very upset at everything I was watching from a very visceral standpoint.
Yeah, 2013 was like the worst year of my life for many, many reasons. This particular weekend was actually pretty good for me. Let's just say I had a very fun, interesting night the night before, and might have ended up somewhere I didn't expect to be. Let's just leave it at that. And then I had to meet my parents the next day at the fucking race. Yeah, I mean, I was definitely, at this point, I was big into Keselowski. I was a big Keselowski fan, obviously, as a junior fan. So I was excited to see what they were going to do. And, Keselowski, he was the defending champion, and he needed to win, basically, to get into the playoffs, which it looked like he was going to do, but unfortunately it didn't work out that way. As far as the race itself goes, it's interesting thinking back to this now and thinking it was kind of a boring race. Meanwhile, what we're going to see this weekend is probably going to be 10 times as boring.
Exponentially worse.
Yeah, I mean, the guys could actually pass. They talked about on the broadcast how the car still had 900 horsepower and they burned off the tires and everything. And it was very clear, just because there weren't a bunch of wrecks, it was still a pretty interesting, good race. I definitely was not appreciative of that at the time.
To piggyback off that, I remember watching this and thinking like, oh man, there's some empty seats out there. I don't remember that from when I was a kid. And then watching this for the show, I was like, holy fuck, there's a lot of people at this race.
Yeah.
I forgot that Richmond's grandstands used to go all the way around like
They
Bristol,
did.
but now they do not.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, without my notes, I don't have as much detail as to what actually happened. But I mean, the other story that was a good through line throughout the entire thing and ended up working out for him at the end, Kurt Busch. I mean, this was in the midst of his, climb back up to the top of the sport. He'd driven for Phoenix Racing after getting kicked out of the Penske car, and here he was in the Furniture Row car, which was a big leap for them. I mean, this was their first time making it to the playoffs, and there was still a touch of old Kurt there. There was one pit stop that was pretty bad that kind of knocked him from first to fifth, and he got on the radio and swore a little bit, but it wasn't quite as animated as he's been at other times.
Yeah.
And thankfully they were able to overcome that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were able to kind of turn things around, and he finished top 5, second or third, I think, right? I can't remember exactly, but he ended up making the playoffs, which was good.
Second.
Second, yes. So there you go. And there were a lot of good battles. I mean, he was working his ass off all night and battling everybody for the lead and just doing everything he could to get up there, and that was really cool to see. The Hendrick cars didn't have a good night. Gordon had some issues, and it was back and forth as to whether he was actually going to make the playoffs. Jimmy Johnson hadn't touched the track all weekend because one of his daughters was just born, so he had a dog shit night, which I was not a Jimmy Johnson fan, so that was fine by me.
Yeah, started last, finished 40th.
Yeah. So
We had Tony Stewart there on his motorized Rascal scooter that was wrapped in Bass Pro.
Yeah.
So that was...
Yeah, that was when he broke his back in a sprint car crash.
His leg.
Leg, that's right. His back was the sandrail thing. I always get it mixed up.
But yeah, I'm trying to think.
Also, Ryan Truex was in this race, which really caught me off guard.
Yeah, that was odd.
Yeah, driving for H. Scott, I think, right? The 51?
51.
I think obviously the biggest talking point here is the actual spin itself, which came 7 to go. It was interesting because in the stands, I mean, obviously wasn't really totally closely following what was going on with the playoff standings and everything like that. And I was sitting in turn 1, so I didn't really see the spin too closely from where I was at, but something just, even in the stands, there was something seemed off with that. Like everybody was kind of confused. And during the broadcast itself, when the actual spin happened, they kind of just glanced it off. Like Jarrett thought that Junior hit Boyer and spun him out, and that clearly was not the case. And it wasn't until after the race that they started looking at it a little more closely, and Junior gave an interview. He was like, yeah, it was the damnedest thing. He was all over the track, and then he just spun. It was so weird. And that's when all of a sudden it was like, did he do it on purpose? Rusty thought he did it on purpose. Ray thought he did it on purpose. They asked Clint straight up, and he gave one of the worst denials I think I've ever seen.
I forgot that Brett Griffin was part of this too.
Yeah, is your arm itching?
Oh, that was Brett. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, he spotted for Clint Boyer for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh man, well that's what a surprise to hear he was involved in that somehow.
Should have ended his career then.
Yeah, really.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of big time players. I mean, Michael Waltrip Racing, that was Ty Norris. That was they got busted for using jet fuel additive at Daytona a couple years earlier. So they were very willing to test the limits of what they could get away with.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a fun watch. I'm glad I went back and watched it just because, it's very rare that I'll go back and watch races I was actually at. So, especially
same.
ones from this long ago.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that it was at the very, very end of the race. For some reason, my memory had placed that wreck a little bit earlier, 50, 60 to go. And I was watching and I was like, when the fuck is this going to happen? Like, it should have happened by now. And then 7 to go, there it was. But, this was, again, I was starting to watch this again regularly. You know, I already knew pretty much who everyone was because everyone kind of was the same from a few years previous.
Yeah.
You know, only like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was the hot new rookie or whatever, you know, after winning Xfinity championships and shit. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, wow, this is why I think the chase is a bullshit system, because now we're going to have to sit here and litigate who was right, who was wrong. And again, like Formula One was something I was watching at the time as well. And I was like, this is just going to be just like the Crashgate deal with Alonso spinning out, or Piquet spinning out, and, you know, to ensure that Alonso got whatever he got, you know. And it's like, we're going to hear about this for months. We're not going to know who the champion is. There's going to be some bullshit. But, and just immediately back into full-on hate boner fandom. So it was a nice welcome home, I guess.
Mima's new soaps is what it was for me. I was like, okay, let's see how this unfolds.
Yeah, and then, I mean, the thing that really bothered me the most about all of this, and this doesn't get touched on in the video because it took a few days for this to happen, was them just adding Jeff Gordon arbitrarily in as the 13th driver in the chase.
I had forgotten that Gordon didn't get added because of the Clint Boyer issue. Gordon got added because David Gilliland slowed down to give Logano a spot. So it was Logano also, you know, skewing things is why Gordon got added.
Yeah.
So it was a whole mess of things.
Yeah, but that was ridiculous, and that was, when I began my hatred of NASCAR brass yet again. And I remember going to Loudon a few weeks later, and all the Martin Truex t-shirts were $10 because he was most definitely leaving that team. I mean, Napa dropped their sponsorship almost immediately, and who knows if they would have gone over to Chase Elliott, if they would have stuck with MWR. I mean, Michael Waltrip stuck around for a few more years, and, you know, they got another win or two out of Clint, if I remember correctly. And
they didn't get any more wins at Michael Waltrip after this.
No more wins.
No.
He had some decent runs, I remember, but just that was the end of the team. Essentially, they kept going.
Yeah. But, and, you know, Kurt had talked about he was already going over to Stewart Haas, and Truex was able to slide over there, and, you know, we all know how that worked out. So I guess it was kind of all for the best.
Yeah, at the time, the big rumor was that Juan Pablo Montoya was going to the 78, and I was like, what the fuck? Why?
Yeah.
But then it all worked out, and then, of course, we all know how it turned out with Front Row.
Well, it worked out for everyone but Michael Waltrip.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. Mikey didn't deserve it. No big deal.
But yeah, this race really set into motion. I mean, I guess you can pick any moment in NASCAR history and kind of follow the butterfly effect of it, but this one in particular definitely shaped the course of where we're at today. And I mean, honestly, was that Martinsville last year, the year before? Was it last year where there was all the drama about who was making it and who wasn't because Bubba slowed down and got into the fence totally not on purpose, and there was other bullshit going on with Chastain blocking, and it just felt exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I was just as angry last year as I was back in 2013.
Yeah. I've been to a lot of races with cool things and interesting and historic things, but I guess this is probably the most historic race I'll ever go to, I feel like. So at least
was this your first time at Richmond?
Yeah, it's the only time I've ever been there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of your track food from 12 years ago?
No, that's the thing. Like, I even showed up late. It was like a deal where I kind of just like showed up right at the beginning of the race, and that was it. So it was not like my race experiences now. This was a different part of my life, and I was not as into going to the races as I am now. So, but yeah, glad y'all enjoyed this trip down memory lane, and
it definitely was that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can remember sitting in my living room in Somerville watching this and just getting pissed off. My roommates not understanding why I was as mad as I was.
Here we are, 12 years later.
Yeah, and just look at this list of teams that just don't exist anymore, and like who's not on the sport anymore and who still is. It's crazy how many guys from back then were the sort of younger guys, and now they're the veterans. And
I mean, Logano was only 23. This was his first time making the playoffs.
Yeah. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was still out there for some reason.
Yep. This was also Mark Martin's last ever top 10. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yep. So for this coming video of the week, I've got a fun one. This is a lot shorter and a lot more fun, I feel like. So NASCAR's in Daytona next week. Daytona, I mean, obviously it's NASCAR capital and all that, but Daytona is also known for its beaches. What do beaches have? Lifeguards.
I'm hoping this is a dramatic pause.
Are we watching an episode of Baywatch?
Yeah. You cut out,
God
Brad.
damn it. Yeah, so we're watching the episode of Baywatch. Yeah.
Yeah. What do lifeguards have? Syphilis. And
yeah, so it's the Baywatch Grand Prix is the name of the episode. So this isn't on YouTube. It's on Peacock and also it's a few different places. If you just Google Baywatch Grand Prix, one of the first things that pops up is a Daily Motion link to watch the whole episode. So there's
perfect.
a bunch of different ways to watch this for free. It's just not on YouTube. So I'll post there's clips and stuff on YouTube that I'll put on the playlist just for like a placeholder. But
perfect.
Many ways to watch this. So yeah, we're watching Baywatch next week. And Mark Martin's in this episode. So,
Is he really?
yeah, he is. So.
Is he a lifeguard?
No, he's driving in the race. I forget it was a Trans Am race or something that they filmed this at. So, but he's one of the drivers. I was looking. Oh, go ahead.
He wasn't showing off how ripped he is.
I doubt it. I'd be surprised if he does that.
Was this pre-jail workout, Mark Martin, or was this after? Because
I think Mark. It was '98. So.
So he was definitely Jack. I was going to say if it was a Trans Am race, like he ran for Jack Rouse back in the 80s, but...
Yeah. No, Baywatch was like 92 to like 99 or whatever, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually looking, too, there is this insane soap opera called Passions that Jane McMurray was once on, and I was trying to find that episode, and I'll have to dig that up somewhere because I think that'll be another fun thing to watch, but...
Passions.
Yeah, Baywatch this week.
I don't recall my mother watching that one as a child.
It was a newer one. It was pure chaos, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I've seen a couple clips. No, it's not even. It's like a weird supernatural show, like all sorts of stuff that like regular humans don't do. Like I saw some clip of like somebody having an alien baby or something. So that's the type of stuff.
There's like demons and shit. Yeah, it's.
I think I could get into that.
Yeah.
We're going to watch Baywatch first, okay?
Yeah, so, we doing any racing stuff this weekend? I don't plan on it.
I am.
We'll
I will be at the Cars tour for the baseball car.
That's right. Anderson. I knew I was forgetting something. Dale Jr. driving the old, whatever, late model stock. Baseball car. That'll be fun.
So, yep, I'll be there with all the friends. Jeremy, Buddy's mom, Kyle, my boyfriend, and my brother. So got a good crew going.
That's great.
Hey.
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to the track this weekend, but my brother-in-law Tommy and family are coming up on Saturday afternoon, and I'm sure we're going to post up somewhere and watch the Richmond race together. So not at the track, but with good friends and family, and I'm very excited about that.
Nice. Yeah, I'll probably have to watch Richmond on my phone if Anderson has a cell tower.
I bet they don't.
But they don't. No. Dale Jr. comes to town.
Cash only.
Cool. So, as always, you can follow us on Instagram, meetmeatapplebees, on Twitter at meetmeatapplebees. I'm Speedway Screens on all the things. SpeedwayTSJ.etsy.com is the shop. MMA Applebees for 15% off the checkout. And please buy some stuff so I can pay for this laptop I'm about to buy in about 10 minutes.
Hell yeah. It is appropriate that it died on the show. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's.
It's a fitting end, but I need a laptop now, so I'm gonna be buying one immediately.
Still Snake Mountain _TrueLove. I'll try to post some pictures of Dale Jr. after I get back home to the Wi-Fi.
Nice. Rob Motes _unofficial on Instagram. I almost forgot what it was, even though I say it every week. My band is called These Wild Plains. And of course, I play drums for Charlie Marie. Got nothing coming up Nothing at all. Just gonna be sitting on my couch watching racing and hopefully getting back to Arkansas to see the folks. Hopefully getting out to Eldora. I got a bunch of trips I'm trying to plan here on a very shoestring budget after buying way too many beers and shrimps over in Sweden. So, yeah, we'll see. But I just got to say one more time, thanks again to everyone over in Sweden for putting this up. Still getting photos and shit sent over to us, and just kind of been reliving that over the past week as I've settled back into regular life. And it's not been easy because it's way more fun doing that than it is having a day job. But yeah, we'll be back out soon enough, and you'll hear about it here first. Because I can say things on this show that we can't announce because not that many people listen.
It's a secret club.
A little secret. If you stuck around to the end, then good for you.
It's just us here.
Cool.
Even the servers have left here at Applebee's.
Well, with that, looks like the check is here. Thanks for joining us again at Applebee's, and we'll talk to y'all next week.